Jason Merrill, proud principal of Melrose High School. I want to thank the Melrose Ed Foundation, first off, for the continuing to host this event and being a partner in all of their tireless efforts that they do for the teachers of Melrose Public Schools and the students. And it's the grants that are giving opportunities that go beyond the curriculum. It's innovation, it's research, development, providing experiences and opportunities that students and teachers would not otherwise be able to experience. So we appreciate that. And certainly thank you all for being here and connecting with your child's education. This is my third year as principal at the high school. It's my sixth year here in the district. I'm also a graduate of Melrose High School, 1996. For those of you who are wondering, I attended the Hoover School as well, so go hard. It's extremely important to me to leave this school and the school system in better shape than how I found it, okay? Whether that's speaking as a child or as an adult. So that's extremely important to me. I have a tremendous responsibility to the 1,034 students and their families here at the high school, and that number's growing. It grew by 3 last week, so we're probably at 1037 actually. Got a couple transfers in. And also the thousands of kids that are your own children and students to follow. It's a huge responsibility that we don't take lightly. And like you, I'm also a Melrose Public Schools parent. I have 2 in the system, three children. So there's a personal interest as well. These are my 3. Bo is a 3rd grader at Roosevelt, Max is in 2nd, and Emerson is 3. So I know how important they are to me, so I certainly can understand and appreciate how important your children are to you. Since being here in 2016, the #1 goal for us has been to be able to sustain this welcome environment that's built on kindness and respect, okay? And the superintendent will tease me that when we write our goals, she'll say, what's the #1 for? It's always gonna be #1. That's where it's gonna stay. It's extremely important to us here at the high school, and it drives everything we do. It's the safety of the building, it's a safe learning environment for children, it's climate, it's a positive culture, it's a great work environment. That's where we're trying to get to. That's why it's #1. It drives all of those things, which in turn drives a great experience for our students. How we get there. We talk about how we treat each other, how we treat people in the building. We talk about everyone being welcome, okay? And we kind of adopted an unofficial mascot in the pineapple that you'll see around the building. And we talk about how everyone is welcome. Making sure families feel welcome when they come into your room. Making sure students feel welcome when they come into your classroom. One community open to all. It's one of the city's mottos. It's also in our positive behavior statement, which is posted around the building that we talk about with students all the time. We award students on it at senior awards. And we talk about kindness all the time with students. When they're sitting in these chairs, we talk about kindness all the time. The other piece to it, when we talk about how we treat each other, is our corn story, which my wife made me promise not to share with you. But it talks about being a good neighbor and how the welfare and well-being and happiness, success of one student, of one adult, is bound together with the welfare of everyone else in that community, and certainly in our school community. So that's important to us. We talk to our kids about it. They know what that means. They know what it means to grow good corn here. And that's important. For myself, the precept I live by that I hold myself accountable every day to is treating all students the way I want my own students treated in school. I want them to have high expectations. I want them to be held responsible for their actions. I want them to be pushed. But I also want them to feel welcome. I want them to have a voice. I want them to be treated with kindness, to be respected when they walk in their building, okay? That's important to me. All right? So that's what we hold ourselves to. That's what we talk to the teachers about. They hear that at the beginning of every year. There's checkpoints during the year when they hear that same thing. What are we doing here at the high school to get there? Certainly we're not where we want to be, but the things that we're doing to get there, we talk about voice. Faculty meetings. We try to give teachers a voice as well. It's not just students. Students are part of the decision making. Try to give them a voice. Listen. Community circles are part of that. A lot of things to be able to hear students. Being visible. Being in places like in here during the day and in the cafeteria and out front where students can find adults and be able to have conversations with. Believing in the kids. It's a mindset. It's something we have to check ourselves with constantly. Believing in all kids, that all kids can learn at a high level. Modeling kindness and respect. Communicating. And when I say communicate, tell people, if you appreciate what someone's doing around you, if you appreciate a child, let them know. Say thank you. Okay, we talk to our teachers about that. You love someone, tell them you love them. You want to say thank you, say thank you. Don't keep that into yourself. Okay? And then we start to talk about identifying what's important to us. And that's a community. That's not my idea. It's not the administrator's idea. It's everyone in our school community. We'll get to a little bit more about that. PBIS is part of it. We're proud to have it. You have it at the elementary schools, whether it's Raven at Roosevelt. It looks different everywhere. Here at the high school, we worked really hard. We're very proud of the work we've done. Ms. Berman, who's here, has led that group. We have rubrics that are around the building. You'll see them in here for different spaces, classrooms, about what it looks like to be mindful, to be honorable, to be supportive. If I was 17 years old and a teacher told me I was being honorable, I'd be pretty proud of myself, okay? If a teacher called home and said, your son's really being supportive in school, I'd be pretty proud of myself. That's what we talk about. A statement. This came from our brainstorm starting in 2016 with kids who are now in college, some kids who are now seniors, students who are here now, staff. This is what's important to us. Making connections, embracing challenges, leading by example, respect everyone, being one community open to all, supporting each other, and expecting integrity. We award this at Senior Awards Night. We award every one of these concepts, and we try to give feedback to kids throughout the year on that and their families. That's a little bit about what we're doing in regard to trying to make that number one goal. Personalized learning and competency-based education is something a lot of you have heard about, and not everyone knows what it looks like, or you know what it looks like at the elementary school with their report cards, but what's going on at the high school? So as we can started this journey and we continue in now in about year 3 into it, some of the things that are going on at the high school, what it looks like is creating a common retake and revision policy, that this is a belief amongst our students, that amongst our staff, that students should have multiple opportunities to display their learning. So that's some of the stuff we're doing that's here. Portfolios, moving away from traditional exams like in art classes, where students will make a portfolio to talk about their learning. Student-led conferences, habits of learning, kind of separating communication, being a responsible citizen, and problem solving from the content and curriculum, but those are still important things. So starting to assess kids, to teach those, and to report out on them. Some of our courses like statistics and pieces of world history, Ms. Lord has really dived into it. You saw her if you drop your kids off. Our biology staff, really changing their course to have a lot more personalized learning and CBE concepts to it. We've moved away from our traditional senior paper and doing a senior capstone project that's more real life, authentic, gives students choice in how they display their learning. Learning menus is something you'll see in a lot of those courses that talks about choice. Choice in how you learn the content, choice in how you prove your learning, okay? So there might be different options for different kids. And we're starting to develop our vision of the graduate, which we'll explain in a minute. What else do I think separating us a little bit and setting us apart? Thank you very much.
Kindness.
I think our schedule, being aligned with the middle school, has really created some great opportunities to share staff, share space, utilize their music space, and utilize some of our global language courses for their students. In our flex block, being able to have a break in the day where students have the ability within the school day to get some interventions and extra help and ask questions from their teachers. think our electives are really setting us apart here. We've had a whole redesign in our CAD programs where students are learning to be architects and engineers, from a case study course that is given at Harvard University, global leadership, African American studies, marine science. We have a fashion design course. We have a furniture course where students are building furniture. So we're really trying to give students some new opportunities. Internships, we have a senior internship program. Over 70% of our seniors take part in that, where during the fourth quarter on April 4th, those students will go out into the community, or greater community. Some kids have traveled and done their internship in different states, and take part in an internship in lieu of being in school for the fourth quarter. So I think those are some opportunities that are starting to set us apart. Our community day is when we kind of stop what we're doing. We learn something or teach something new just for the love of teaching it. We really work on some of those soft skills: communication, collaboration, building and sustaining relationships. Some of those things are going to remain important forever. And when we're doing this, we're trying to think about being responsive to the students in front of us today, while also being innovative and trying some new things. Okay? With that innovation, what does MEF help with? An endless list that goes on and on. The newest cool thing that's going on is the wave tank, which is something similar to you'd see at the Museum of Science. Some of you may see that later, where students were able, through MEF, to build a wave tank and watch what currents look like and how it shapes the landscape of a seaside or a beach, has sand and water in it. And some of those students and that teacher are going to be presenting at the National Marine Biology Conference at UMass Boston later this month. So those are some of the opportunities that students want to have. College tours, getting students, the college students that may not have been able to get out on a campus yet, but we brought over 60 students out with staff to visit multiple colleges last year through MEF and tour campuses, meet with admissions. We've redone our global language department, and through MEF have been able to train teachers where they're working at UMass Boston or Salem State while they're working here, and kids are getting college credit while they're taking a 5th year of a language. One of the new ones that someone's looking for is to be able to do a hydroponic garden downstairs where we're using a tank and growing vegetables with water. And I think the advanced placement has been, we've seen huge growth in that, and that's through MEF. It's been the support of them to train staff over the summer, Saturday sessions to mirror a lot of what we were doing that was best practice across the country through Mass Insight and other opportunities. We went from under 300 tests 5 years ago. We now give out over 800 AP tests. We've kind of opened the doors for students who traditionally wouldn't take an AP test, and then we've created a ton of new opportunities. One of the first schools in the Commonwealth to have AP Capstone, which is a 2-year program. It's the most rigorous course of study by the College Board in the world, where students are learning advanced research techniques that would most likely be in a master's program or doctorate, and that's done in this room. And some of that technique has been able to spill over into other classes as well. Where are we going? We talk about all students, and that's a lofty goal. We don't talk about the majority, we talk about all students. We want that unique and memorable experience. That's kind of why we build in Community Day. We want kids next summer to remember specific days here, not just to earn grades. We want them to remember this experience. The feeling of being connected, it's a lofty goal. We want every student to feel like they have some kind of connection. Why are they here? Why is this important? We want students to drive by and say, that's my school. That's my school, and I'm proud to go there. Persistence in college, staying in college, graduating on time, being able to stick with that plan, okay? Prepared for jobs that don't exist. That's where some of those skills about being able to sustain a relationship, being able to work with all people, people that have a difference of opinion, collaboration, communication. That's some of the important stuff that we know is going to exist when we don't know what jobs they're going to be applying for. Because the majority of the students at the high school, those jobs that they'll have in 4, 5, 6 years do not exist right now, okay? But we know some of the skills that they'll need, okay? Be the best school in the world. We don't talk to kids about being good at anything. We tell the freshmen on day one during freshman orientation, we're not trying to be good at something. We're trying to be the best at everything. We're trying to be great. We had, just last week, we had 11th graders in this very room. GSA was giving a presentation to them. Went really well when the students said, yeah, we're pretty good at this though here. We're doing pretty good at this. I said, you are pretty good at this. But we're trying to be the best at it. We're not trying to be pretty good at anything. So they hear that often, and that's what we're trying to do. This is our vision of a graduate. This is probably the most exciting thing we're working on this year. We did this on day one with our staff. We did a protocol practice. They were in groups, and they were able to draw someone, okay, and talk about what do we want our students to think, what do we want them to feel, what do we want them to see, what do we want them to be able to do, and how do we want them to move on into this world when they leave here, okay? This is the top of the mountain. When people talk about personalized learning, this is the top of the mountain. This is part of a NEASC accreditation process, which will have a visit in 2021. But this is the most important thing. And this is the work we've done since 2016 on what is important to us here, okay? It's about having courage, being loyal, showing grit, perseverance, determination, being a problem solver, discipline, okay? So we're still in the process of trying to weed that down to what is most important to us. But you'll see it was important to get the pineapple on there. Some staff really felt it was important to remember where you came from, take pride in what you do. So we think it's really reflective of everyone here. So in closing, I'd like to say thank you again to MEF for their continued partnership in education in Melrose. But I'll tell you, it takes a lot more than a partner. It takes an entire community. And what I say now might be the most important thing I've said. This isn't sustainable. The stuff that you've seen at the elementary schools, the growth, the middle school, what I think we've been able to do at the high school, it's not sustainable. And continuing to do less with more is simply not possible. There are only 12 districts in the Commonwealth that are spending less on education than the city of Melrose. And it's not good enough for any of our children. I'll leave you with that. We can certainly do better. So I will say thank you. I call this sometimes parting advice, but my 2 assistant principals like, don't say it's advice, say what you'd say. So students, we tell them, we talk about being kind, as I said. Everyone has something to contribute. Respect yourself. Be in the moment. Participate with the people around you. Put your phone down. Be a good friend. Be prepared. Be the person, be the kid that makes someone else better. That's what we talk about. Be that kid, okay? To their families, be present in their lives. Ask questions. Get in their business. Believe in them. Talk about their future, okay? There's not one path. Every college is a great college. Okay, there's just right fits for kids. There's more than one path. Be a partner in their education, okay, and you're doing that today. So I thank you for that. Thank you. Keep each other well and go Melrose.